Hello and welcome everyone to another Power Pack episode of Fuel the Game, where we unlock the secrets behind the performance, passion, and purpose in sports and physical education. I am your host, I am Luis Cadetti Lucase, and today we are fired up for a topic that drives champion and builds greatness. Drive and direction, understanding motivation, and goal setting in sports and PE. Ever wonder what keeps athletes going when they keep tired behind the scoreboard and facing setbacks? What pushes them to set big goals and go after these things? Well, today we're going to unpack how and why motivation and how goal setting become your passion in both sports and life. And guess what? We are joined today with three speakers. We have Ma'am Joy, we have Sir Jovert, and we have Sir J. Carlo, who will be sharing their insights, real life experiences, and tips to help you get focused, stay driven, and achieve more. So whether you are an athlete, a student, or someone who are ready to level up your life, listen to this podcast. And to start with our session this day, we will have to answer the first question. And the first question that our speakers will answer is, what are the dominant theories behind motivation in sports and PE? Again, what are the dominant theories behind motivation in sport and PE? This question will be answered by our guest. One will explain self-determination theory, particularly intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Okay, so I'd go first with regards to self-determination theory or SDT theory. So as a physical education teacher handling both senior and junior high school subject, I believe in my point of view, this SDT is about understanding what truly motivates people or learners and students to do things, especially when it comes to learning new things or performing well in any type of sports. And of course, as what we all know, there are two types of motivation, the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Now, this intrinsic motivation is what drives students and athletes to do something because they enjoy it, they are curious or find it meaningful. So when motivation comes from inside, students and or athletes are more consistent, happier, and they grow faster. At the same time, extrinsic motivation is when someone or these learners or athletes does things to get a reward or avoid punishment. So, in short, self determination theory reminds us that motivation grows best when people are free, confident, and connected. And as educators and coaches, we don't just teach or train, we help shape motivation that lasts.
Yes, that's right, ma'am. Joyria. Motivation is built to our students or to us when there is freedom. I really agree with that, ma'am. And how about Sir Jovert? Can you explain something about achievement goal theory, particularly mastery versus performance goals? Take it away, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. In pertaining to achievement goal theory, it is a type of theory that focuses on why people strive for success and how they define it. So, in relation to mastery and performance goals, when we talk about mastery goals, it refers to intrinsic motivation, while the performance goal is extrinsic. So the mastery goals, it actually focuses on learning, personal improvement, and mastery of a skill or task. So as a PE teacher, it is a very necessary and significant that before we can proceed to the complex one, we must master the basic in order for the students to master a certain skill. So, in relation to the performance goal, since it actually focuses on demonstrating ability relative to others. So, to sum up, the achievement goal theory will actually lead the students to achieve their goals, not just in classroom, but even in sport as well.
That's right, Sir Jovert. Remember that achievement follows a process. It is a step-by-step process, and achievement goal theory, as mentioned by Sir Jovert, is actually connected to what Ma'am Juway Ria explained earlier, which is about motivation. Now, to broaden our knowledge this afternoon, let's have our guest number three, Sir J. Carlo, to introduce IZOF, or individual zones of optimal functioning, and how emotional states tie into the performance of our athletes. Take it away, say Jay.
Hello, once again, good afternoon. Now, IZOF it stands for Individual Zone of Proximal Functioning. This is actually a theory where each individual do perform better in their own compatibility. Some are performing better when they are stressed or they stand on a certain theory that each individual do have a comfortable context where do they perform better. Now, this is actually a sports psychology model developed by Yuri Hanin. It proposes that each athlete has a unique zone of emotional arousal or anxiety, or it can be either in excitement or a level of anxiety in which their performance peaks. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Sir Jay. I do agree with that. And I actually can relate that to one of our principles of exercise, which is the principle of individuality, where we emphasize that each athlete has their own pace. Okay. Now, we have here a follow-up question that will be answered by one or at least one of our guest speakers. The question is, which of these theories resonates most in our practice or teaching experience? Because we agree that we are all teachers here, but which of these three theories do really resonates in our teaching?
Hello, Ma'am Louie, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I think I would really say it is the eyes off. Considering that of this, we have a diverse learners. And of course, with that diverse learners, we do have different coping mechanism in terms of performance or peak performance of our different students, regardless of it can be in an academic or in sports or in physical activities or in dance, right? Now, most of these actually teaching and coaching experiences that I have, because it recognizes the uniqueness of every learner of our athlete. That is why I really suggest that this type of theory really resonates in our practice as physical education teachers, and at the same time coaches or mentors in general. So that's it. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Jay, that's actually correct. And I do agree with you, especially that we emphasize right now that we need to have a differentiated strategies for our students because no one or no size fits all. That's the approach of PE right now. We need to make sure that our students are inclusive or experiencing inclusivity, but we also have to make sure that our strategies are differentiated. Now, let us make sure that our conversation is grounded in evidence. Now, we will answer this one question that will help us to ground our conversation. The question is, what do recent studies tell us about motivation and goal setting? Let's begin with Ma'am Juwayriya to explain to us STD-based study showing the role of autonomy supported coaching. Ma'am Juway?
Thank you, Ma'am Louise. So, in my case, yes, no, in my case, as a teacher and a coach as well, when a coach use an autonomy supportive style environment or style, meaning they give their athletes or their learners the choices, listen to their opinions, and avoid being too controlling, as their athletes become or the learners become more motivated to perform better and feel happier in their sports. For example, the study of Soji et al. In 2020, they found that when athletes felt felt that their coach respected or respects their inputs, encourage self improvement, and supported their independence, the athletes develop stronger intrinsic motivation. This means they practice harder not because they were forced, but because they wanted to improve and they're enjoying the process. So, in simple terms, the more a coach supports an athlete's freedom to choose and grow, the more the athletes will love the specific sport and will tend to do uh, a well or they'll tend to do good performance. Yes, that's it.
That's correct, Ma'am Juwai. Albeit we are PE teachers and our main goal is to discipline our students or athletes, let us not forget that we must not be too controlling. We should have freedom for them, and we need to emphasize in our minds that in training they should be enjoying. They should not be stressing, or we should be not stressed to them as well. Now let's proceed to research on goal orientation in young athletes and its link to burnout. Take it away, Sir Jovert.
Thank you very much, ma'am. In the study conducted by Mazahart in 2014, the goal orientation must be tailored to SMART goals. So actually, SMART is very common. So it actually deals with the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So as a coach, setting goals for athletes is very important because it actually guides the players or our athletes in order to see their individual progression, and at the same time these goals will actually lead to triumph. So example, in terms of specifics, so as a coach, you need to emphasize what specific skills should the athlete should obtain. After that one, you need to make sure that it must be measurable. So we just not think that this kind of skills should be achieved by 1 year or more than that. It must be measurable as well. Another, it must be achievable, and at the same time, and most important thing, it must be relevant. So if you are um, targeting, for example, having a bicep or leg endurance, then you need to ensure that the activities you allow the athletes to perform must be aligned as well. And the most important thing, it must be time bounded for us coach to see the progress of our athletes performance, and at the same time we can prepare alternative plans if ever there are challenges facing during the training as well.
That's actually right, Sir Jovert. Actually, there's one coach that was able to mention that the quality of training is most important compared to the quantity of time we allot to the training. It's important that we know what the training is for, what is our target, and what is our goal. Because without goal, those times we spend for our training will be useless. Thank you so much, Sir Jovert. Let us now proceed to the
Exactly, mom.
study.
Thank you.
Yes, actually correct. Let us now proceed to the study on how IZOF helps tailor emotional regulation strategies in athletes. Take it away, Sir J.
Thank you, Ma'am Louie. Actually, when you talk about ISOP, it more focuses on an emotional aspect, in particular, the anxiety levels. Right now, in a certain study of Cooper et al. 2021 that was conducted in the US, where they profiled an elite athletes in terms of their strength and conditioning sessions. No, during the profiling, they found out that the peak performances of these following athletes were tied to highly functional positives. When we talk about highly functional positives, these are athletes having those confidence and energy. Those high confidence and energy, in short, do have peak performance. At the same time, when an athlete have low negative dysfunction or sluggish and discouragement. So when it balances well, they said on that study, okay, most likely there will be an exact peak performance of the athletes therein. Now, the ISOP profiling also reveals that emotion intensity patterns, which coaches and explicitly targets the with interventions like energy boosting routineness or cognitive strategies. Those emotions should be the primary target of each coaches or sports psychologists in terms of boosting the performance of their athletes, because it really resonates, or it really radiates to the performance in the actual competition of our athletes. For example, when they are morally motivated, at the same time, the level of confidence are high, there is most likely the athletes will do better on the competition. And at the same time, try also to correlate the level of anxiety of the athlete. Now, but yeah, that's it. The most of the study reveals that when you have those level emotional emotional aspect, at the same time the highly functional aspect of the athletes, if it is more likely balanced, the more that it gives a peak performance. So that's it, Ma'am Louie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Jay. I really got one good point from the discussion of Sir Jay, that emotions really play a vital role in the training of athlete. It doesn't mean that our athlete is physically okay. She or he will automatically win the game. It's important to balance the physical aspect of our athlete and most importantly the mental aspect of our athlete, because the emotional regulation is actually connected to the mental aspect of our athlete. When our athlete is mentally stable, the game will be stable as well. Okay, the conversation is really good right now. And what do you think will be the effects of these findings on our practices as educators, coaches, or sports professionals? Again, what do you think will be the influence of these theories on our practices as educators, coaches, or sports professional? What do you think? Can you share your concrete examples?
Shall I go first, Ma'am
Yes, Ma'am
Louie?
July.
So, um, there are a variety of influences or influences from findings as that we can practice as educators as physical education teachers slash coaches or sports professionals. First one is we shift from controlling to guiding, that instead of forcing our learners or athletes to follow strict instructions all the time, we start to listen more, give options, and explain the why behind tasks, which I believe this will help them feel more involved and respected. Then the second one is we focus on building internal motivation. We stop relying on rewards and punishments or pressure. So instead, we design activities that are fun, meaningful, and challenging so that students or athletes would really prefer to join and improve and enjoy the experience on their own. And then the next one is when we build stronger relationships by being autonomy supportive. We create a classroom or team environment where students or athletes feel safe, supported, and valued, and for which this would eventually build trust, encourages communication, and improve overall participation and effort. So, um, more as well is this this influence will more likely promote long-term success. It is because when learners and athletes are more motivated from within, they are more likely to stick with physical activity or sport for life, not just for grade, for reward, for medal, but they will really believe that these things will help them develop healthy habits, confidence, and love for movement. Yes, that's it.
Yes, thank you so much, Ma'am Juwai. One of the important concept I've got from Ma'am Juwai is listening rather than controlling. Because sometimes as teachers, as coaches, we forget to listen to our athletes or our students. And sometimes we cannot get the needs of our students. So again, don't forget, we need to listen to our athletes or our students. Now we come to our final segment, which is about the practical applications. Now the question is, how do we turn theory and research into action? What practical strategies work? Again, the question is, how do we turn theory and research into action? What practical strategies work? Can we begin with Sir J, which is about emotional profiling in sports, pre-game routines, and eyes off
Yeah.
awareness? Sir J?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Ma'am Louie. Oh, since we are talking about ISOP again, I just would like to highlight that it is important, particularly before the action starts or before or the pre-game, right? Now, turning the ISOP theory into an action which starts with emotional profiling, helping athletes to identify which emotions and at what level or intensity lead to their best performance. Are these emotions high or low for them to have a better performance? So that's a real question from it, right? Now, by reflecting on the past games, of course, athletes can create personalized pre-game routines that intentionally bring them into their unique zone, whether that means calming down or boosting their energy. Of course, coaches can support this by guiding athletes to use tools like breathing exercise, motivational self-talk, music, and of course, one of the most important thing, visualization. Of and the practical approach also builds emotional awareness and regulation and performance consistency. We have to take note of that po. Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Jay. Yes, visualization is very much important when we are doing our psychology for our learners because without visualization, they cannot feel what they must feel during the game and after the game. And thank you so much, Sir Jay. Let us now proceed to Ma'am Juwai, which is about PE setting using intrinsic motivators such as choice and autonomy. Take it away, Ma'am Juwai.
Okay, so turning self-determination theory into real action in physical education means using teaching strategies that will boost both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, where students participate activities because they want to, not because they have to. So to turn this theory into action, we should create a PE class where students feel free to choose, safe to try, and excited to move. That when they feel autonomy, competence, and belonging, motivation becomes internal from within, and that's when really real learning and lifelong activity begins. That's all, Ma'am Louise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Juwai. And let's have Sir Jovert to discuss coaching, setting smart goals tailored to athletes' profile. Take it away, sir.
Thank, thank you very much, ma'am. As a coach, setting goals for athletes is not just about pushing them harder. It's about guiding them strategically, based on their individual profiles, such as skills, motivation, personality, and even physical condition. So, one powerful method is using the SMART goals framework. So, as I've mentioned, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, which ensures goals are well defined and achievable at the same time.
Thank you so much, Sir Jovert, and thank you so much, Sir Jay and Ma'am Joyria. And from our discussion this day, we've got three important topics such as motivation, goal setting, and of course, the eyes off of Sir Jay. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Fuel the Game. We hope you're walking away with a deeper understanding of what truly drives us and how setting the right goals can give us direction. A huge shout out and heartfelt thanks to our amazing guests. We have Manjo Ria, Sir Jovert, Sir J. Carlo for sharing their wisdom, passion, and experience with us today. Remember, motivation gets started, but goals keeps you going. So whether you're in the court, in the classroom, or chasing the dream, keep showing up, stay consistent, and never lose sight. Once again, I am Luis Cadet Ducase. See you on our next episode. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.